Hello everyone and welcome to episode 26. I'm Gabe and today we'll be taking on the poison type gym. But first, let's do a little recap. In the last episode, you used your new ride Pokemon Laparto to sail across Route 12. You ran into Professor Ginkgo, who revealed that she plans to continue the risky legendary Pokemon research that Psycat had hinted at. You defeated her in battle, but she retreated, no doubt back to the Cenozone lab at the center of Paleo Bay. You hop off of the helpful Laparto and onto the massive rocking sea platform that is Quarter Ocean Station. You actually feel a little queasy as it tilts on the powerful ocean waves. A barrier fence wraps around the center of Paleon Bay, and a restricted gate with a large 8 stands in your way. Cenozone Lab is out of reach for now, and there isn't much on this research station, but you do spot a final Pokemon-type research arena. You run inside expecting to find a water-type researcher, but instead the interior is filled with pipes, pumping gurgling purple liquid. You do also find a note left behind.
Sorry, Professor Ginkgo just sent me on an emergency mission on Route 13. I'll be back soon. Serena, the poison-type head researcher.
Not having the time to wait for her to return, you use your Pokéride signal again and begin sailing across Route 13 to find her. You battle wild Pokemon as you search for her. There's Primal Omastar, Primal Kabutops, Dunklevish, Laparto, and even the rare Fossage. In addition, the currents are quite strong out here. This dangerous path actually serves as our poison-type puzzle. There are jagged rocks and currents that whip you this way and that, and little barriers and valves and pipes. I kind of had flashbacks to, I think, Soul Silver, navigating all the whirlpools and stuff. So I wanted to do an homage to that with a little bit more. So you gotta, spin some dials to flip the direction of certain whirlpools and different eddies and whatnot. Oh, and during all this, you do sail past a small island that is fenced off with a massive restricted gate labeled with a huge 16. In fact, you've seen 2 other massive doors with 16s on them, but we will tackle that mystery soon, I promise you. You just make a mental note. Eventually, you do find Serena, the poison-type head researcher, on a small beach island. You hop off of your Laparto and rush up to her.
Well, if it isn't the professor's little assistant. I'm surprised you were able to make it out here, but I'm very busy. The professor said an outside Pokemon was spotted on this island and that I needed to catch it. Wait, what? You think that Professor Ginkgo told me that just to get me out of my research building? Well, that's just not cool. I need to get back to my research building then. Someone needs to remove the toxins released into the bay by the professor's research. And when you get there, I suppose I could put you in your place real quick. We'll see if you understand the frightening beauty of poison-type Pokemon.
Serena calls out her own ride Pokemon and flies back to Quarter Ocean Station. When you eventually return, you find that she is ready for your battle. Serena leads with her Primal Persian, which you know pretty well and you're able to knock it out. Next up, she sends out Halusip, but she follows up with its evolution. We're popping back to the Hallucigenia inspiration for this one, and we'll be referencing the fact that this animal was initially reconstructed upside down, so it will finally get flipped right side up when it evolves. Those silly little spiky legs are now massive defensive quills, and the noodles on its back are now a bunch of more practical legs. I actually liked the little curly bits on its back from before and wanted to maintain that, so I gave it a couple of long whiskers. These are also a good parallel for the little frontward-facing arms that the real Hallucigenia had. The last big design element that I wanted to pull in was bubbles. I just love the idea of it generating these poisonous, hallucinogenic bubbles that it, surrounded itself with as an added defense. Now, there's a good amount going on with this design, but I think it doesn't quite cross the line into being cluttered. And in conjunction with the pose, its, head lifted up to spout bubbles, I think that it makes the head a little intentionally ambiguous at first glance, which I like. Gotta keep that weirdness in there still. Alright, let's take a look at Halutrip, the confusing Pokemon. This bizarre Pokemon produces powerful poisons that affect perception. Halutrip blow bubbles filled with toxic chemicals and swirling vortexes of psychic energy. Contact with one of their long spikes or floating bubbles can leave someone in a daze for hours. Halutrip use their psychic abilities to ensure their bubbles never pop on their trainer. And its ability is bizarre. Making this up, it is contact with the Pokemon may confuse the attacker. It is slow but strong, and its ability to poison and confuse your Pokemon, it's a big hurdle to get through. Eventually you do knock it out, and she follows up with the evolution to little primal Cranidos. Now a big shout out to those few who guessed that this line would be gaining the poison type. We'll be keeping the general pose the same. It'll still be running into its opponents with its big old dome head, but we'll be switching out the personality. It'll be a lot less angry, and bringing in the imagery of a beaker of volatile chemicals. This transparent vessel of roiling liquid kind of makes the body also look like a lava lamp, which is pretty cute. This silly, mad scientist chemistry look was really just a happy accident. A result of me wanting to use the poison and steel type. I, of course, did this design before the little engine designs of Generation 9 came out, but I'm pretty happy with this combination of types. It's cute. Let's take a look at Primal Rampardos, the headbutt Pokemon. The bulbous head of this ancient Pokemon is filled with a volatile liquid. Primal Rampardos prefer to slosh their poisons around in a threatening display rather than risk damaging their brittle heads in battle. If forced into combat, their poison-laced heads can deal an extraordinary amount of damage. And its ability is Poison Touch, and that means it may poison targets whenever it makes contact. So it's like Poison Point, but for being on the offense. Its Poison Steel typing takes a while to overcome and you lose more Pokemon. After it falls, Serena chooses the middle stage of our pseudo-legendary line. Yes, we are finally getting to Fossage's evolution. I know that a number of you have been clamoring for this design to finally show up. We met Fossage forever ago, but pseudo-legendaries evolve so late that I just had to keep the evolutions until late in the series. Our adorable lump of poisonous goo is going to become an awkward teenager. I wanted to show that this is a lot more, capable. It can actually walk around, even if it still feels really unnatural. The whole line is slowly developing and pulling itself into something larger, and this is a good transitional stage, which still has its own personality. Oh, and I really like this color palette. It's kind of fun because it's very close to the color palette of one of the legendaries, which it'll make a lot more sense lore-wise when we eventually get to that. But let's go ahead and learn about this middle stage. This is Sludgeolum, the new life Pokemon. Fossage, who master the bone fragments stuck in their bodies, evolve into this shambling, spiky Pokemon. Sludgeolum balance on thin-boned legs, allowing them to clumsily walk about instead of slowly sliding everywhere. Researchers suspect that their gooey bodies analyze and copy the trace DNA present in the fossil pieces, allowing them to continue developing. Its ability is gooey still, and that slows down the attacker whenever they make contact. Sludgeolum, while goopy and adorable, decimates most of your team before it faints. With one Pokemon left each, Serena sends out her ace, Poison Eevee time. There are some different directions you can go with a poison design. The first route is a, gloopy poison Eevee, but since we just had Sludgeolum, that felt kind of redundant. I've also seen some designs that incorporate iconic poisonous animal traits like scorpion tails or cobra hoods, but these always feel a little tacked on to me. So the route that I chose to go with was spiky. I decided not to give it the regular floofy evolution tail, instead playing off of the set of spikes that Jolteon has, but exaggerating them even more. kind of like it has like a sea urchin on its butt. This makes for a pretty impactful silhouette and lends itself to a surprising amount of personality. I think the tiny mohawk of spikes helps too, makes it look like a little punk rocker. I did have someone comment about the upcoming Poison EV by saying that they just didn't want it to be all spiky, and I am sorry to disappoint, but I really like how this one turned out. Alright, let's learn about Toxeon, the quilled Pokemon. This poison-type evolution is covered in long poisonous spines. Toxeon are playful and confident, but keep others at arm's length for their own protection. Trainers who form a strong bond with this spiky Pokemon may receive gentle nuzzles from the unquilled parts of Toxeon's face. Its ability is Poison Point, obviously, and that may leave an attacker poisoned. It comes down to a couple last moves, but you are somehow able to knock out Serena's last Pokemon. She pats her Toxeon on the head and congratulates you.
Alright, that was quite the battle. I'll be honest with you, Professor Ginkgo told me not to give you the last access code needed to get to Cenozone Lab, but you earned this fair and square.
With your final access code acquired, you will be able to pass through the restricted gate and make your way to Cenozone Lab. But before you can do that, it seems that 3 of your Pokemon are ready to evolve. But we'll see what the Splice Starter's final evolutions are in the next episode. Thank you all so much for watching, and please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. A huge thank you to Serena for being our Poison-type gym leader. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode down in the comments below, and I'll see you in episode 27. Bye!